So next we're going to talk about kind of accounting and some of the regulatory considerations. These are things that you always have to keep in the back of your mind. Accounting, you're going to want to make sure that you coordinate with your accountants. Often we will coordinate with your accountants to make sure that all of the options and different things are accounted for in the right way. The other regulatory regimes that you're going to want to think about are your FDA approvals, if any, for your devices. You also need to think about who the investors will be and whether there will be any considerations needed for foreign investors. One of the things that you've seen lately is there's a regime called CFIUS. CFIUS stands for
I was impressed that you were about to explain what it says.
Well, no, it's and then
Council for Foreign Investment in the U.S.
in the
something
US.
like
It's
that.
not council.
It's not council. Committee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Committee for Foreign Investment in the U.S. What that really means, it's a regulatory scheme that the U.S. originally set up that it did not want foreign investors to own certain key industries. Originally, it was really a defense contracting type of regime. They didn't want foreigners to own corporations such as Lockheed, Boeing, where our defense contract secrets would be exposed. Today, that it's taken a much broader view, and they're much more active. We've recently had a couple of transactions where we've had Chinese investors into U.S. companies, and depending on what the underlying intellectual property is, you may or may not be forced to do substantial filings with CFIUS. The other thing, when you have foreign investors, you have issues with whether they qualify as a qualified investor. You also have some passive foreign investment company considerations. Those can be tax-wise very detrimental. So there's a number of different things that you always want to know: who your investors are, where they're from, what, and when I say that, I mean what nationality is the entity that's investing.
Another category that CFIUS has begun to cover is data companies. So if you're a company that collects and holds or aggregates data, has a lot of personal information about customers or others, that can also trigger a CFIUS review depending on who the investors are. So just another category to keep in mind.
And there's things that you may not even think of as being an issue, but we were representing it. It was a medical device company that had a device that helped to put botulinum toxins into people for cosmetic purposes, but because the botulinum toxin is a substance that's monitored by CFIUS, you needed to get additional approvals, which was something that on first blush you would not think you would need it for a device company in the cosmetic area.
All right. Another consideration that some companies will have are visa considerations. So depending on who the founders are, where they're from, whether they're U.S. citizens or non-U.S. citizens, and whether a company's attempting to hire key employees from outside of the U.S., you may need to look at different types of work visa options. And that is not something that we can frankly get into a lot of detail here on. But there's a lot of information available at the CIS website, uscis.gov, and you just need to be aware that there are many factors at play, including the education, the particular skill set of a potential employee, the country of birth, the timing, where the U.S. is in its process of handling these types of applications, and you really need to find the right specialists to help you through this process. It's just not something that you can take on and handle from scratch. So there are good attorneys that specialize in this area, and it's most helpful and most important to get help in that arena.
And I think we've seen in the post-pandemic or in the pandemic world that this has slowed down. So again, something that you need to consider, that it is not something that's going to happen overnight. You need to start the process as soon as you identify your need, and so it's something that it's a long time lead item.